This video will introduce and familiarize you with the inventory interface. To begin with, click the Inventory button. At a quick glance, you can see that there are a great deal of options available for every item you enter into inventory. When you think of inventory, you most likely think of parts. In AutoFluent's inventory, nearly every item that you use in the AutoFluent system is an inventory item. Parts, labor, fees, packages, discounts, and many other items are all created in the inventory. At the top of the screen, click the New button to create a new inventory item. Delete will delete the currently selected part on the inventory screen. The system will warn you before deleting the item. Whenever you make changes on the inventory window, click the Save Changes button. The Copy button will let you copy the currently selected item in order to enter a new similar item into your inventory. The Change Catalog button will let you change the catalog number of the currently selected item. The Count Inventory button opens up a physical inventory session in which you can count either your entire inventory or specific sections of your inventory. You can then update the system to reflect your actual inventory count. Clicking the Purchase Orders button opens the Purchase Orders interface and is where you will go to create and manage your purchase orders. The Adjustments button lets you adjust the quantity of the currently selected inventory item. Alternates will show you any parts that match the one that you have selected based on if you have entered alternate vendor part numbers or not for the selected part. Price Changes allows you to change prices and use other utilities to edit the information of just one item at a time or a great deal of items of your choosing at the same time. You can also scan the barcode of an item that you have in stock to pull it up in the inventory window by clicking this button. You can also choose to display only part of your inventory or all of it by checking the appropriate boxes. Creating new inventory items, counting inventory, creating purchase orders, inventory adjustments, and price changes are covered in other training videos. As with each section of the AutoFluent interface, the yellow search fields above each column let you find each inventory item quickly. You can use one or all of the fields in your search. There are 4 main identifiers for each item in your inventory. At the top of your inventory list, you'll see these 4-column headers. Size Item is the category that you create for each group of related items. For instance, if you stock air filters, you may want to assign each one of them the size item of air filter. If you stock tires, you will probably want to use the tire size. This will allow you to quickly filter through your inventory to list only that type of item on the screen. The catalog number is the unique identifier for that inventory item. You can use your vendor's part number, the manufacturer's part number, or any naming protocol that you decide upon. The type is the designation that tells the AutoFluent system how to treat this item. There are a great variety of item types available that operate differently from each other. The description is where you can enter a detailed description for the item and the line that will show on a work order or invoice when the item is added to that work order. If your descriptions are well thought out, it can be a great way to find the item quicker, especially for less experienced users of your AutoFluent system. Next, each item in your inventory has an additional 9 labeled tabs where you can add a great deal of information for each item. Some of the tabs are not available for certain item types. The Details tab is where most of the pertinent information about this part is entered. Next Linked Item allows you to enter an inventory item that is always sold with that particular item. For instance, if a warranty is always sold with a part or a tire installation package is always sold with a particular tire, you can enter the catalog number for that item and it will always be added to the quote or work order immediately following the main item that you added. The Item Group dropdown allows you to assign this item to the group of your choosing. There are a few benefits of creating item groups. First, any inventory report that you create will allow you to create that report only for that particular item group or selected groups. For instance, if you wanted to keep track of how much you sold in different brake parts or brake-related labor jobs, you could create item groups that only contain those types of items. When running a daily report, you will be able to see the total sales and profit margins for each item group separately and track your sales over the day, month, and year. Finally, if your accounting software is integrated with AutoFluent, you can have each item group post into their own general ledger accounts, giving more precise accounting information. The creation of item groups is covered in a different video. If you stock wheels, the bolt pattern field can be utilized as another way to uniquely identify this item. In the system setup, you can add as many different parts and tire manufacturers as you need. You can then select the correct manufacturer of this part and enter the manufacturer's part number as well. The code field lets you add a single digit of your choosing to differentiate this item from other similar items. Here you can select if your sales reps or mechanics can earn a commission on this item. This box shows you how this item is treated in the system based on its assigned item type and how you have that item type set up in system settings. This window shows you not only how many items you have on hand, but also how many of those items are actually available. If the available number is lower than the on-hand number, that means that the item has been added to an open work order or work orders, and though technically still in stock, has been set aside for those jobs already in progress. The box also shows you how many items are currently on order and your reorder settings for this item. When you enter a reorder minimum and maximum, you can create a reorder report that will let you quickly create a purchase order for a single item or an entire group of items from a single vendor. The setup and use of the reorder report is covered in another video. Here you can enter the main vendor that you purchased the item from and the vendor's part number for that item. You can also denote if this item is also manufactured by this vendor, whether the item can be discounted or not, or if it is marked as an obsolete item. If you run AutoFluent in a multi-store environment, you can decide if this item is to be shared with your other locations or not. On the right side of this window is where you will enter your actual cost of the item in the catalog cost field. The fields for last cost and average cost will fill in and adjust on their own after each time the item has been received on a purchase order. Below is the list of your different price levels. You can enter these items in manually on an item-by-item basis, or set default system markups based on their item group in the item group setup area of the system. The Recalculate and Recalculate with Group Margins buttons will recalculate each price level based on this item's settings and whether or not you have your system set up to have set group price margins. This box will let you display price levels that are configured in the system but aren't currently in use. In a multi-store environment, you can copy the catalog cost of this item to all stores if this box is checked. Now click on the Sales tab. On this screen, you can enter all data or NAPA keywords if you have your accounts integrated with AutoFluent. If you use AutoAware, you can enter a job code from that interface in order to use pre-configured items within your AutoFluent inventory. You can also see at a quick glance the last time that an item was sold, received, ordered, or modified. The initials of the person that made the inventory modification will be noted here. If your employees can earn spiffs by selling an item in inventory, you can configure the spiff as needed, and even make it temporary by checking this box and entering in a date range. After creating an item in inventory, you can scan its barcode into this field. Once it has been saved, you can either scan items into a work order, such as point of sales purchases, or scan items into your physical inventory count. You can even create your own barcodes based on the catalog number of the item and print out barcode stickers if you have a compatible barcode sticker printer. If you check the Enable Temporary Discounts box, you can set a beginning and ending date for the discount and set up each discounted price. The Postcards tab is active if you have either a comment or labor item selected. You can configure the system to generate a postcard with a particular message and even choose to have the system generate a postcard to be sent a month or more after the time that a specific labor item is sold on an invoice. Emails work in the same fashion as postcards. You can create emails or select from your created email templates and have them attached to specific labor items to be sent a month or more in the future. On the Vendors tab, you can enter the information for each vendor that you purchased this part from, including the vendor part number, vendor cost, and any notes regarding this part or vendor. You can also select which of your vendors will be listed as the main vendor that you sourced this part from. If you enter one of these parts on a purchase order, the correct part number and cost will be imported into the purchase order based on the vendor in which you are creating the purchase order for. The History tab lets you see the entire history of this part. Purchase orders, sales, adjustments, and returns will all be saved here. If you suspect that an item may show a quantity that is different from what you actually have on hand, you can click the Recalculate Totals button. If the system sees a discrepancy, you can choose to update the quantity based on the amount calculated by AutoFluent, or set it to keep the currently listed quantity on hand. The Stores tab is used in a multi-store environment and is where you can see the available quantity for each part at that location. You can choose to request items from another location or send items to a different location through this interface. If your wholesale tire shop has a website provided by AutoFluent, you can enter in all of the details and photographs of each item that you are featuring on your website within this interface. Finally, the Bins tab lets you designate the location in your shop where the part is located. You can even enable a system setting that will allow you to keep track of the quantities available at each designated location. If your shop does mobile work, this can be extremely helpful with keeping track of the inventory stored in each vehicle by naming the bins after each mobile repair vehicle.